Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. The world isn't designed to be fair, and the sooner you face that harsh reality, the sooner you stop handing away your power. While you're watching this, someone with half your intelligence is being treated with more respect. Someone physically weaker than you is influencing more people. Someone far less skilled is living the life you dream about simply because they understand how human psychology really works. You've been trained to follow rules that everyone else abandoned ages ago. You were raised to be polite while others learned to be strategic. You were told to wait for respect while others simply took it. The game of life is rigged, just not in the way you imagine. It's stacked against anyone who refuses to learn how people truly operate. It's rigged against those who cling to fairness, and against those who think good intentions outweigh psychological power. 5 centuries ago, Niccolò Machiavelli uncovered the real mechanics of influence, why good people come in last, and why those who think ruthlessly rise to the top. Today, I'm going to reveal 8 dark psychological principles that can shift you from someone who gets ignored to someone who radiates untouchable confidence and undeniable presence. But let me warn you now, once you understand these principles, you'll never see people the same way again. You'll never be able to play the victim once you recognize the psychological game happening around you. Let me tell you the moment everything clicked for me. I used to be the person with all the right answers, yet nobody cared. I worked hard, I was honest, I was capable, and I was invisible. I watched clueless, overconfident people get opportunities one deserved. I saw manipulators rise while honest people struggled. I saw charming, toxic personalities attract crowds while genuine people sat alone. And then it hit me, the world doesn't reward intelligence, it rewards influence. It doesn't honor kindness, it honors presence. It doesn't value your character, it values your psychological strength. That truth shattered my worldview, but it also freed me from years of frustration and feeling unseen. Machiavelli lived during a time of betrayal, political games, and constant power struggles. He saw nations rise and collapse because of one principle. Those who understand human psychology rule over those who don't. His insights aren't historical trivia, they're manuals for anyone tired of being manipulated and ready to become magnetic. And understand this, being ruthless doesn't mean being cruel. It means being strategically intelligent. It means recognizing that while you move through life with pure intentions, others are playing a deeper psychological game. Before we go any further, I want you to write one sentence in the comments. I refuse to be psychologically dominated by others. This is more than a comment, it's your first step toward psychological independence. Because everything you're about to learn requires one shift. From seeing yourself as prey, to seeing yourself as a strategist. Are you ready to become dangerously confident? Let's begin. Number 1, fairness is a psychological trap. Fairness is one of the biggest illusions you've been conditioned to believe in. It's a psychological cage, a trap designed to keep you passive, obedient, and easy to control. Every time you wait for life to treat you fairly, someone else is already claiming what you hesitated to take. Every time you stick to rules that no one else follows, others rewrite those rules in their favor. Every time you expect equal treatment, manipulators study your predictability and use it against you. You've been told that being fair makes you noble, but in reality, it often makes you prey. Look back at your own experiences. How many times have you shown respect to someone who offered you none? How many times have you helped people who vanished when you needed them? How many times did you politely wait your turn while bold people cut the line in front of you? This isn't bad luck. It's psychological programming. Machiavelli exposed this dynamic clearly. Men should be treated generously or crushed, because they take revenge for small harms but cannot avenge severe ones. He wasn't talking about physical violence, he was describing the psychology of dominance. When you slightly bruise someone's ego, they fixate on you and quietly prepare payback. When you assert complete psychological authority, they accept your position and move on. The biggest mistake people make: half measures. They give timid pushback to strong personalities. They set flimsy boundaries with aggressive people. They try reasoning with individuals who only operate through self-interest. This backfires in the worst way. You look weak, and you create enemies who now believe they can defeat you. So what does real psychological power look like? When someone disrespects you, you don't argue, explain, or try to convince them to behave better. You act in a way that immediately demonstrates the cost of crossing you. You don't bargain for respect. You don't try to fix their behavior with kindness. You create an environment where treating you well benefits them, and treating you poorly has consequences. Stop showing fairness to people who exploit it. Stop trying to win with rules no one else is following. Start being strategic with those who only understand power dynamics. Number 2, ruthlessness is emotional discipline. Most people think ruthless means explosive anger, cruelty, or impulsive aggression. But that's completely wrong. Real ruthlessness isn't emotional chaos, it's emotional control. True ruthlessness is the ability to stay ice-cold inside while everyone else is reacting emotionally. It's the skill of thinking clearly when others are losing their composure. It's discipline, not destruction. Ruthless individuals don't lash out. They calculate. They don't explode. They execute. They don't act from wounded feelings. They act from strategy and self-interest. Meanwhile, emotionally reactive people constantly sabotage their own influence. They're predictable. They're easy to provoke. Anyone who knows their buttons can manipulate them in seconds. Every outburst is a surrender of power. Psychologically dominant people understand something vital. Emotions are signals, not instructions. They feel anger, disappointment, embarrassment, but they don't let those emotions dictate their moves. Here's a scenario. Someone humiliates you in public or tries to tear down your reputation. The emotionally fragile person rushes to defend themselves, argues, pleads, explains. Which only proves the attacker has control. But the emotionally disciplined person? They process the feeling quietly. Then they ask one powerful question. What response elevates me and damages their influence? Maybe the best move is to ignore them completely, signaling they're beneath your attention. Maybe you respond with a calm correction that exposes their pettiness. Maybe you use the moment to display total composure, making them look like the unstable one. Whatever the move, it's chosen, not triggered. Machiavelli captured this idea perfectly. Harms should be delivered all at once so their impact is final, not prolonged. Meaning, when you must respond, do it with precision and finality. No back and forth. No emotional drama. One decisive action that ends the conflict and shifts the psychological balance in your favor. Think about the people you admire for their strength. Do they yell? Do they get dragged into pointless arguments? Do they let others dictate their emotional state? Of course not. Their power comes from emotional sovereignty. They decide when and how they react, and that makes others tread carefully around them. Master your reactions. Let others be emotional. You be strategic. Number 3, psychological dominance trumps likability. Here's a truth that will break your people-pleasing habits: being liked is far less valuable than being respected. When people merely like you, they assume you'll forgive them, and they take liberties with your time, energy, and boundaries. But when they respect your psychological strength, they hesitate. They know there will be consequences if they cross you. Likeable people are safe, predictable, easy to manipulate. Everyone knows they won't retaliate in any meaningful way. Psychologically dominant people: dangerous, unpredictable, treated with caution, because everyone knows they can defend their interests. Think about your social circles. Who commands the most attention and influence? The person everyone likes, or the person whose approval actually matters? Who do people consult before making decisions? Likeable yes people or confident figures who set the tone? Machiavelli put it bluntly: it is safer to be feared than loved if one must choose. This doesn't mean becoming a tyrant. It means being someone others know they cannot disrespect without facing consequences. Someone who is fair but formidable. Someone whose boundaries are non-negotiable. Here's what that looks like in action. Likeable people say yes out of fear of disappointing others. Dominant people say no without guilt, prioritizing their own goals. Likeable people tolerate disrespect, hoping it will stop. Dominant people confront it immediately and decisively. Likeable people want to be included everywhere. Dominant people pick and choose where their presence matters. Likeable people justify their decisions. Dominant people make them, and expect others to adapt. The shift is profound. Instead of asking, will they like me if I do this, you start asking, will this action increase or decrease my social power? Instead of chasing approval, you become someone whose approval others must earn. This is about moving from giving respect freely to being someone whose respect is sought and valued. Build dominance through consistent demonstration of standards and boundaries. Let others compete for your approval instead of the other way around. Number 4, decisive action creates psychological superiority. Here's where most people lose influence: they make weak moves over and over, instead of strong, deliberate moves occasionally. Psychologically, weak people constantly threaten consequences they never enforce. They give endless warnings, nag, plead, or manipulate emotionally. Over time, people learn to ignore them. You become all bark, no bite. Psychologically dominant individuals operate differently. They act less often but with undeniable force. When they make a move, it leaves a lasting impression. Machiavelli said it clearly: if an injury must be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. In modern terms, when you assert your power, make it decisive and final. Let people understand clearly that testing you is a mistake. For example, imagine someone repeatedly disrespects you, interrupting, dismissing, or mocking you. A weak response is to repeatedly ask them to stop, vent to others, or complain. This actually reinforces their dominance. They see they can manipulate your emotions without consequence. A psychologically dominant response is different. You document the pattern, then act once, decisively. Maybe you publicly call out their behavior, or exclude them from something they value, or subtly turn others against their conduct. The action should be disproportionately strong relative to the pattern, not a reaction to a single minor incident. This creates lasting psychological impact. Others see clearly that disrespect carries real cost. This principle works in every area of influence. Instead of constantly trying to convince people of your value, demonstrate it so decisively that it becomes undeniable. Instead of being always available, occasionally create scarcity so others realize your value. Instead of arguing repeatedly, take one action that makes your position impossible to ignore. Rule: make fewer threats, but when you act, follow through completely. Build a reputation for decisive, unshakable action rather than empty warnings. Number 5. Perception management is reality control. This is one of the most advanced forms of influence, understanding that how people perceive you is far more important than who you actually are. Most people live their lives assuming that being good or competent is enough, that others will naturally recognize their value. That's naive. Humans don't analyze deeply, they make split-second judgments based on surface cues, social signals, and reputation. If you don't actively shape how others see you, someone else will, and not in your favor. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. In practice, your image becomes your reality. Your perceived value is what people treat as your actual value. Those who grasp this actively manage the story of themselves. This isn't about being fake. It's about strategically presenting your authentic qualities in ways that maximize influence. Think about social media or even daily interactions. Two people achieve the same success. One documents and shares it strategically, highlighting competence, leadership, and skill. The other assumes their work speaks for itself and says nothing. Guess who gets more recognition, opportunities, and respect? It's not just online, it applies to real life too. How you carry yourself communicates value before a single word is spoken. Walk in with confident posture, make eye contact, speak clearly, people immediately categorize you as important. Slouch, avoid eye contact, and speak hesitantly, people unconsciously dismiss you. The psychological principle is simple: people treat you according to the standard you set for them. Here's how to apply it. Share your achievements strategically while downplaying failures. Align yourself with high-value individuals and environments to elevate your status by association. Maintain an air of mystery so people fill in the gaps with positive assumptions. Project confidence even when unsure. Confidence is contagious, uncertainty is repulsive. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. Cultivate it, protect it, and leverage it like the powerful tool it is. Number 6. Narrative control is psychological warfare. The ultimate form of influence isn't just what you do, it's how your actions are interpreted. Every event can be framed in multiple ways. The same action might look like leadership or arrogance, confidence or selfishness, strength or aggression. Whoever controls the story controls perception. Most people focus only on what they do and ignore how others talk about it. That's a critical mistake. In human psychology, the story often matters more than the facts. Think of any conflict you've seen. Usually, the person who tells their version first, clearly and persuasively, wins public opinion, even if they weren't technically right. Machiavelli observed, "People judge more from appearances than reality. They rarely investigate thoroughly and rely on the simplified stories told by trusted sources. Whoever controls that story controls belief. This is why narrative control is power. The person who frames events first shapes perception and ultimately, influence. Here's how it works in practice. When you make a difficult or unpopular decision, frame it in terms of principles, vision, or long-term strategy, not selfishness. When someone attacks your reputation, you don't just defend yourself, you turn their attack into evidence of their jealousy or weakness. When you achieve something significant, highlight your strategy, foresight, and skill, not just luck or talent. Concrete example, you cut off a toxic friend who drains your energy. They might spin the story to make you seem selfish. If you stay silent, people accept their version. But if you control the narrative, for example, sharing that you set boundaries to protect your mental health, others perceive you as wise and principled. Advanced narrative control means anticipating how your actions will be interpreted and getting ahead of negative spins before they take root. Always ask, not just what am I doing, but how will it be perceived? Shape the story before anyone else does. Master the narrative, and you control influence. Number 7. Systematic consequences create psychological authority. The most advanced form of influence doesn't rely on emotions, threats, or manipulation. It's about creating systems where actions naturally lead to predictable consequences. This is psychological mastery because it removes your personality from the equation. People can argue with your mood, manipulate your anger, or push your buttons, but they cannot argue with a system. When respect automatically leads to reward, and disrespect automatically leads to exclusion, you maintain total control without emotional engagement. Machiavelli explained it clearly. A wise ruler should rely on what is under his control, not on what depends on others. Here's how this works in real life. Instead of arguing with people who don't respect your time, make yourself unavailable when they need you. Instead of getting angry at those who take advantage of your generosity, redirect your help to those who value it. Instead of convincing people to treat you better, create a system where treating you well benefits them, and mistreating you costs them. Example: you have friends who constantly expect you to organize events but repeatedly cancel or arrive late. Reactively, you might complain, guilt-trip them, or argue. That only drains your energy. Systematically, you plan for those who confirm attendance and show up on time. Chronic cancelers are simply excluded. You don't announce punishments, you implement natural consequences. The effect? People adjust their behavior to maintain access to your value. They can't argue with the system because it's logical and impartial. This approach is self-sustaining. You don't constantly enforce rules or remind people of boundaries. The consequences teach them what's expected. Rule: build systems where behavior dictates access. Let natural consequences train others to respect you. This is psychological authority in its purest form. Number 8. Silent dominance is ultimate power. The final and most important lesson: true power is quiet. People who constantly brag about being smart, tough, or ruthless usually aren't. They're advertising what they wish they had. Real influence doesn't shout. It works behind the scenes. Real dominance is felt, not announced. The most dangerous individuals in any room are often the silent ones. They observe while others perform. They calculate while others react. They position themselves while others posture. Think about the most psychologically powerful people you've met. Do they constantly remind everyone of their influence? Do they brag or threaten? Rarely. Their power is assumed, their results speak louder than words. Machiavelli captured this perfectly. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. This means you must be strategically clever when cunning is needed, and forceful when strength is required, seamlessly switching without signaling your moves. In practice, competitors don't see your strategy until it's too late. Allies don't know your positioning until they benefit. Enemies don't realize they're being undermined until their influence collapses. Silent dominance looks like this. Building influence without announcing ambition. Positioning strategically without revealing your plan. Gathering intelligence while showing minimal personal exposure. Forming alliances that serve your interests without obvious alignment. Undermining threats subtly so the decline of others seems natural. This isn't deceit, it's strategic discretion. When you operate silently, people experience your power before they understand how you achieved it. Influence becomes natural and inevitable rather than forced or aggressive. Rule, demonstrate results, not words. Build your psychological empire quietly. Let others make noise, you make moves. Here's the final truth: if you don't master the dark psychology of influence, someone who has mastered it will control your life. This isn't theory, it's happening right now. While you've been learning, others are using these principles against people who don't understand them. Manipulative individuals exploit fairness. Psychologically dominant people rise above those who think good intentions are stronger than strategy. The choice is simple, and brutal. Learn and use these principles, or remain someone who is influenced and used by others. You've been taught that studying these lessons makes you bad. That's exactly what those who dominate psychologically want you to believe. They want you predictable, naive, and easy to manipulate, while they move forward with sophisticated understanding. Every day you delay implementing these truths is another day someone more ruthless is gaining the influence and respect you want. Every day you stay nice instead of strategically formidable is another day handing ammunition to those who see kindness as weakness. The world doesn't need more naive nice people who finish last. It needs more people who understand the realities of human psychology, and use that understanding to build influence, respect, and unshakable confidence. If these truths have awakened something in you, prove it. Like this video to show you're ready to stop being naive. Share it with someone who needs to realize that kindness without psychological strength is just vulnerability. Subscribe, because these principles are only the beginning of your transformation from overlooked to impossible to ignore. And remember the declaration you wrote in the comments. I refuse to be psychologically dominated by others. Now, it's time to stop refusing and start dominating. The choice is yours, but decide fast, because while you hesitate, dangerous people are already deciding how to act with or against you. Your move.